Parkdale was once one of the most desirable neighborhoods in Toronto. Due to many new businesses, Parkdale is on the rise. Making a new name for itself, the neighborhood is known to many Torontonians as a trendy and artsy area. Entrepreneur and store owner of Common Sort, Nicole, tells me how her business is doing in the new Parkdale.
I think Common Sort adds a lot to the neighborhood, especially in Parkdale, where people can find affordable pieces that are also trendy and in fashion. And it's a different sort of business model than a lot, just because we do the buy-sell trade. And also, you know, Parkdale, it's starting to boom. They've got a lot of new businesses coming into the neighborhood. Not as much retail as we'd like, but it's starting to come with the moratorium on bars and restaurants. I think retail is, we're starting to get a lot more retail in the neighborhood. And I think that people are really liking that. I opened our first location 5 years ago in Riverside in the East End. Just tried it out. It was the first buy-sell trade store in the city. So I wanted to see how it would go. There's multiple chains in the States that have the same concept, but there was nothing in Canada. So I thought it was a great idea, and I thought a lot of Torontonians would have some great clothes that, you know, instead of donating, it's, you know, the pieces that you spend a little bit more on, you don't necessarily want to just donate, so getting something for them, I thought was a great idea. So I opened the first store 5 years ago, realized it's a small location, 600 square feet, and people started selling to us, and it's getting busier and busier, so we realized we needed to open a second location, have it much bigger, have more of a selection.
Nicole says the neighborhood is slowly being gentrified, and businesses like her own are adding to Parkdale's new look. She hopes for more unique fashion retailers, such as her own, to continue bringing business into the Parkdale community.
The rise of Queen West, I guess it started at university, like Queen and University, and then moved its way over. And so it's actually starting to creep up into the Junction, where the Junction neighborhood, which is just north of Parkdale, is seen as the new Queen West. It's the place where all the artists are hanging out, all the independent retailers are hanging out. You don't see very many kind of big box commercial retailers yet. So it's what Queen West was before, you know, the bigger stores moved in, before the Gap moved in, and before I'm trying to think of who else is there. H&M moved in, and all of those folks.
Tony's one-of-a-kind studio is geared towards curvy women who have an eye for fashion. The studio is unique because it is open once a week on Saturdays, sporting the latest in new fashions and vintage finds.
The phenomena of gentrification is not new. And then a neighborhood will never go back to what it is, because the whole, at the crux of that issue with gentrification is rent is cheap, and artists need cheap places to rent so they can create their art, because the starving artist idea is actually a very real one. So the neighborhood will never go back to what it was, because it is being gentrified. There are people that are being pushed out of the neighborhood, which means whatever neighborhood they flock to next, that becomes the next neighborhood, because that's going to be the place where rent is cheap. So yeah, so I don't think the neighborhood will ever be the same. Property values have skyrocketed, even in the last couple of years, not just in Toronto, but in neighborhoods specifically like this one. So yeah, it'll definitely never return to what it was, and I'm not sure if anybody really wants that.